Hi there, this is Allison with Let's Go Travel Tips. We have so much to talk about today. I'm a little later than usual, but it's wonderful to be with you no matter what time it is. I'd like to start by welcoming all of our Let's Go family members and also welcoming everyone who is new. We're really glad that you found us and we hope you'll stick with us. If anyone hasn't subscribed yet, will you please consider subscribing to our channel? It will help us out and I think you are going to love being part of this community and staying up to date with everything that we've got going on when we're thinking about going on a cruise. So first of all, I wanted to start with a couple of news stories and then follow up answering a few questions we've got lately and a couple of onboard updates. So first of all, Norwegian, you might remember the Norwegian Escape accidentally ran aground a little bit there in the Dominican Republic, and so they had to wait until the tide came in and a tugboat could help pull them out. It ended up that they had to have all of their passengers sent home from there. It turned out to be a rather long ordeal if you read about it in the news. And those passengers, though, I think that Norwegian did their best to make everything right. They got everyone transferred home so that they could catch their flights home and everything back to Florida so they could do that. But then they also gave a complete refund for that cruise and gave everyone credit for another free cruise. And so I really honestly think like they did the best they could to make a terrible situation as much better as they could. Well, this weekend, today is Wednesday, March 23rd. This weekend, they were supposed to set sail again, and they are going to have to cancel that cruise because they are having to have some underwater work done on the ship because it did sustain a little bit of damage. And so I just wanted to let everyone know that that is what is still going on with the Norwegian Escape. They are hoping that by the time the next week rolls around, so a week from this weekend, that they will be able to resume their cruises again. So I thought that that was really good news. The next item of news that we have got, and I think that this is, not to bring up just sad things, but, I have been so worried about the people in Ukraine, as I know so many of you have, and I watch with bated breath what is going on there, and Gordon and I have made the choice. We have given money to humanitarian groups who help people there and done what we thought we could do to help. And I just wanted to let everyone know that this is starting to maybe affect some areas that we hadn't anticipated right off. There was a news story that says that new video shows the Russian Navy firing 8 naval cruise missiles from the Black Sea. And you might recall that there really are regularly cruises that go into the Black Sea. Gordon and I have the one scheduled at the beginning of next May in 2023 to go on a Norwegian sailing that goes up there past Turkey and up into the Black Sea. And so when I saw this news today, it caused me to take a look and see what other cruises are scheduled there. And there are actually quite a few cruises that are scheduled in that region. And so I just wanted to let everyone know about it in case any of you have that scheduled. I don't think it's a rush to cancel it yet. We're not canceling or anything, but it will be really interesting to watch as things unfold and see what happens. And I do believe that the Ukraine people and their safety and everything is much more important than me going on a cruise to their region. I wanted to make sure I pointed that out, but I try to tell you about things that are going on in areas where cruise ships often go, and so I felt like you would want to know that that is what is going on. I really like how this news story ended. I read a few of them about it, but the reporter who was talking about it said, "The Ukrainians are fighting back very creatively, very bravely, and that's not by accident either." And so I just love how they summed up how magnificent the Ukrainian people are in doing all they can to defend their homeland. So I just wanted to bring you that story today so that you're kind of keeping up to date with what is going on with that. And I would add, I think that it's really important that even though we see so much devastation there, that we continue to pray for the Ukrainian people, for them to have the strength and the courage and heaven-sent help to help them fight these battles. And so I just think it's important we keep praying. So I know a lot of you are with me on that. Now, the next thing I wanted to let you know is yesterday, on Tuesday, Carnival Corporation reported a little bit with a call on with Wall Street analysts how things are looking so far this year. And I thought it was really cool to note that their occupancies on their ships are like going up very rapidly. So for 40 sailings during this month of March, they are going to have over 100% capacity on a ship. And how do you get to over 100% capacity on a ship? That is when more than 2 people stay in one stateroom. And so that increases because they consider the full occupancy when just 2 people are in each stateroom. And so I thought that that was so encouraging that 40 sailings of ships owned by the Carnival Corporation are going to be sailing at more than 100% capacity. And most of their ships now are sailing at least an average of 70% capacity, whereas in January and the beginning of February, they were seeing more like 40% capacity. The other thing that I think is really exciting to go with this is they say that all of the demand and bookings for the rest of 2022 and into 23 are just huge, that the demand is back, that people are ready to cruise, and that they are excited to go. And so that, I think, bodes well for not only Carnival Corporation, but for all the cruise lines, because if one cruise line does well, often the others will have a lot of passengers as well. And in the other news story that kind of goes with that, it's really interesting to me. It says Carnival Corporation is going to dry dock 24 ships in the next 3 months. And so they won't have, 24 ships docked for the entire 3-month period, but that is how many ships in the next 3 months will go in to have some refurbishment, some work on them done to be completely ready to sail again at 100% capacity. I thought that was really exciting. And the other thing that I think that goes a lot with, they're considering the demand coming back and everything to do with cruising. It says that these number of dry dock days that will be generated with what they've got planned in 2022 will double the number of dry dock days that there were in 2019 before COVID even started. It says the Carnival Corporation, they have, the 9 cruise brands. They had 273 dry dock days in the first quarter of 2022 compared to only 141 in 2019. And if they keep going at the rate that they are going to have 802 dry dock days, whereas usually the range for average was 550 dry dock days. So all of this is just to say that they are doing a lot of work on all of the different ships, and it bodes very well for what they expect and how things are shaping up for cruising. And so I hope that things continue to get better and move forward with cruising, because that's good for all of us, and it's good for so many people's jobs. It's good for people who want to go on vacation. It's just good for everything. And so I think that's wonderful. Now, I've had a few questions that I get again and again, and so I thought I would just quickly answer a few of them here. A lot of people keep asking me, remember that I mentioned that there is that Princess Transfer, the shuttle bus, coach, whatever you want to call it. It's just a big like bus like we're used to having that travels from the SeaTac airport up to the Port of Vancouver. Yes, they are still doing that. You can still call Princess and ask to be put on that. I have a video that I will find and have Gordon link below for me that talks about how to book a transfer and and how to see where to go to get your transfer. And so if you go to that place, like I show you in the video, and it does not give you the option to book the transfer from SeaTac to Vancouver, then just call Princess. It's 1-800-PRINCESS. And that's what we had to do because that option wasn't there. But you just call them, you tell them that you want it, they add it to your booking, you pay them, you give them your credit card number over the phone. I think it's $79 each way. It's about 3 to 4 hours, I think around 3 hours or so bus ride. And I remember that we've had several Let's Go family members tell me that they have done that run several times on a Princess transfer, and that there is always a powder room on the bus. And so hopefully that should still be the case, because I get that question a lot. And so definitely call Princess if you want that transfer. And if you look at that place like I show you in the video for any sailing and it does not come up with a Princess transfer offered, call Princess. Because I can't think of a time that they have not run a transfer on any sailing that we have ever been on. And so keep that in mind. The next thing, lots of people keep asking about a courtesy upgrade when you get on the ship. People want to know if it's easier to get one before you get on the ship or if it's easier to get one after you get on the ship. I honestly think that and I would love actually to hear from all of you if you got a lot of courtesy upgrades before COVID happened, because for the window of time after COVID, when we had the restart, and then especially when we had the Omicron variant come and bookings were so low and the capacity was so low, people were sharing lots of stories of getting on the ship or calling, but most frequently getting on the ship, going and asking for an upgrade and actually getting it for free. And so, which is different than being offered which is different than being offered an upgrade that you have to pay for. That's a whole different thing. This is literally just getting on the ship and asking or calling and saying, hey, can I have a better room because they had lower occupancy. So I honestly do think that's going away. But if any of you have experienced that lately, I would love to hear from you about it. And I think a lot of our Let's Go family members would love to hear about it as well. Now, this one is more a little bit when you travel out of the United States. A lot of people ask me what to do about getting currency, and do you get a different currency for like every country that you travel to? Kind of how do you do it? And so the way that I do it, and I can talk to you more about this when I talk to you about what we're going to do for our cruise this summer, but I always look at all of the different countries that I'm going to go to, and some really important things to note are as if they are part of the EU, if you're going over in Europe, they're part of the EU, you can just get euros, and those work everywhere. The other thing that I look at is if they have their very own specific currency. And if they do, I always get some, just because you never know. And the only time that I didn't do that is when my daughter and I were on one of our Mediterranean sailings and we went to Dubrovnik, Croatia. And they had their own currency, and I just thought, oh, we're going to be okay. And a lot of times those places take euros. And so I thought we'll be fine. And so I bought a few cute little dolls and things from ladies that were just selling what they made, and they took euros, no problem. But later in the day, when you wanted to get to use the powder room, you had to have their currency. So we had to go stand in a long line and trade in $5 for enough, US dollars for enough currency to pay to go use the powder room, the restroom there. And so I would suggest take a little bit of any unique currency like that, just for things like that, because you never know. And like I said, a lot of them take euros, a lot of them take dollars, but sometimes not. And that day in Dubrovnik, Croatia, they weren't taking dollars or euros. They were just going to take their money. And so kind of look at that's what I look at for everywhere that we go. I know that when we went to Mexico, I didn't get any pesos because dollars are so widely accepted there. And most places really do take credit cards, and that works really well. But every once in a while, you do need some cash for like using the restroom. Sometimes, like if you just want to buy a bottle of water, something like that, you're going to wish you had some money. So that's how I evaluate what we're going to do. So the next thing I just wanted to bring you up to today on is Joe, our amazing Let's Go family member. He is on the Sky Princess, and early this morning, our time, he sent a comment saying that they had docked in Gibraltar. How cool is that? And that then their internet was working great. He said they're having a great cruise. They had a cruise critic meet and greet, and that there were around 100 passengers that came to that. And then they got their singles and solos cruisers group of people who are sailing alone, and they have about 30 people in that group. And I just want to remind everybody, like, sometimes people aren't just sailing because they're not married or because they don't have someone else. They're just sailing because they want to sail by themselves sometimes, and it's nice to have some companionship. And so I think that's really fun. Somebody to visit with, somebody to dinner with if you want to, just whatever. And so I wanted to point that out. The last thing that I want to answer that I have just been getting lots more questions on lately is about, and just the one today jogged my memory again for several emails. People ask me a lot about getting access to beaches in Puerto Vallarta for that are like at hotels. I very specifically remember one Let's Go family member told me that they always take a taxi to the Hyatt. You just get off the taxi, you go through the hotel, you can walk along the beach, because there's the part of the beach that is traditionally like it's the Hyatts there, but it's not fenced in, and so you can just walk further down, that there's places to eat along the way. They really enjoy it. And then when they're ready to go back to the ship, they just walk back to the Hyatt again, and it's really easy to catch a cab. And so I think you could probably do that to most of the hotels there. I know that when I apologize, I don't remember the name. I know that it's in our video that we did of the hop on hop off bus in Puerto Vallarta, which, by the way, was so much fun, just so much fun. And but there's a hotel there that is on the that was on the road that we went by, and some people that had been there and at the beach got on the hop on hop off bus and used it to get back to the port. And so that's an option too. But it was just a beautiful looking resort, and they had hopped off, used that area, and then they were getting back on the ship. So there's back on the bus to go back to the ship. And so there's lots of different ways to do it. And I think they probably did it that way just so they could see a little bit more of the sights rather than just taking a cab back, because there was still plenty of the day left. But just kind of keep in mind that I think those things work really well. Then I've got a question for you all today. Karen, who is one of our Let's Go family members, she is wondering, do you need to have a Mexican tourist card in order to take a ship-sponsored excursion when you're on a Panama Canal cruise? Can anybody answer that? I know that usually when you book your cruise, well, always, you book your cruise and then you go back and look at it in under your account on Princess. And once you look on Manage This Booking, you come to that page, and then as you scroll down a little bit, it tells you, like your stateroom and all that kind of things about it. There's always a place, I think it says important information maybe, but when you click on that, it brings up this whole drop down. And I know because I was just looking at it for our cruise that we're going on at the end of May from Rome, but it lists like if you're going to need a passport and all of the details on that. And clearly, coming from the United States, you do need a passport, but I think it would probably list that. And so I'll have to do a video about that so that you all know where to look at. But just look through the information that comes along with everything to do with the cruise that you've booked. But at the same time, I would love to know if anybody knows the answer to that question. I kind of looked at it and I found places that said, yes, you do. And I found places that said, no, you don't. And so I would love to hear from anyone that has firsthand experience. And that's all that I have to tell you about today. If you've got any questions about any of it, just stick it in the comments below, or any experience to hear. We would love to hear from you. I would love to hear from anybody that has anything that you've experienced about any of the questions that I answered, about any of these cruises that are going right now. We'd just love to hear from you. Really would love to hear from you. So if you appreciate these updates, would you please give this video a thumbs up? I'll be talking to you all again really soon. You all take really good care. God bless you. Love you. Bye-bye.